Right guys, here we are. This is my favourite aircraft of the Second World War, the Avro Lancaster. And this particular aircraft was the one with the longest amount of raids ever conceived in her service history. She started out as Q Queenie and ended up as S Sugar. And in fact, I think this is basically the kit that the old Tamiya kit is based on. So maybe at some stage I'll be able to get hold of her, but she's an almighty looking aircraft, as you can see here. Absolutely beautiful, and the sound of those four Merlins, well, it just makes my skin go goosebumps. But as I say, it's one of the most famous aircraft of the Second World War. Right, now we're going to show over at the back here, because there's another aircraft that was equally famous, which is the Consolidated Liberator. This is actually in the markings of the squadron, which was based out in Burma. So there you go. And over here we've got the Fairy Battle, which was actually in the early years of the war, not very successful. In fact, a lot of these were downed in the Battle of France and relegated to training duties after that. Over here, if we have a look, is a well-known Halifax that was found at the bottom of a fjord. It actually was one of the aircraft that actually tried to attack the Tirpitz in its earlier raids. If I've got a little bit of the history of this particular aircraft, as I say, took part in a raid to basically attack the Tirpitz and was down on the... hang on. No, it actually took part in a raid, sorry, a correction, it took part in a raid on the 12th to 13th of March 1941, and was downed. Let me just see, this particular aircraft, I'm trying to find the service history of this, I can't find it, but there you go. But as I say, this was actually how it was raised, and you can still make out some of the paintwork on it, which is absolutely astounding considering how long this had been down there. And there's the Merlin engines. This was an early Mark II version, I think, which I think Matchbox you did originally, and they've just re-released it with Revell some years ago. And over here you've got a Tornado, another one of my favourite aircraft. At the back here they've got an Anson, because I think they're actually in the midst of actually getting some more subjects in. And over the back here, if you can see it, is a Buccaneer, which actually took part in the Gulf War. Just over here is one of the actual bombs that was actually used to bomb the Tirpitz, which was the Blockbuster bomb, again invented by Sir Barnes Wallis, who invented the bouncing bomb. It is immense, and it was, the Lancaster was the only one that could actually carry it, believe it or not. So there you go. Right, let's move down here a bit more. Sorry, somebody's taking a photograph. It's a lot. I'm on YouTube, so sorry about this. There we go. Done? Yep, okay, I'll move on. And over here is one of the Victors that was used during the Gulf War, Lucky Lady. This is what they've retrieved from her. If we go up in the cockpit, you can actually see the interior. Here it is. Very cramped and compact, considering such a big aircraft that it was. There you go. So let's move down, because there is one more aircraft I want us to see. If we move down the back here, I'm just hoping I'm not going to run out of film. Just go back over Sugar at the moment. We're going to get there, believe it or not. Okay, oh, here we are. We've got Black 6, which was the last 109G to fly. Actually had a slight accident at Duxford, but basically it was grounded and brought here. Was it Black 3? Hang on, let me have a look. No, it's Black 6, I was correct. Beautiful looking aircraft, very sleek, very fast. And as I say, she basically last flew, I think, about 8 years ago now, I'm not sure. Up here we got the well-known B-17G, about as famous as the Lancaster. There's an ambulance, an Airspeed Oxford, which was used as a training aircraft as well as a communications aircraft during the war. And the aircraft I want to film is just over here. Yep, you guessed it, the absolutely beautifully big Vulcan bomber. I think the registration on this one is, if I can see it, XL318. This thing is just immense. I can tell you that now. But a thing of beauty. As I say, it was well known for the black buck raids in the Falklands War, as it was really its last sort of swan song, the only time it was actually used in anger. But it's an immense aircraft, and if we go on the bomb bay here, you can actually see, if they've got it playing, oh yeah, this is the bomb bay. Look at the damn size of the ruddy thing. It's just immense. So there you go, and at the back here you got a Focke-Wulf 190. But I have to say, there's the film. It's just a typical V-bomber scramble, and they have this playing throughout the day. So there you go. Over there is the Olympus engine, which is powered by this aircraft. So that's quite big. It's actually same engine as Concorde's got actually, was the Olympus 593, but with afterburner on Concorde. So there you go. So around here, I think I've actually got, I've got a fair old bit of film here, so we're going to be okay, guys. That's the actual sort of undercarriage bay of the Vulcan, as you can see there. So if anybody wants any reference photos for a model, I mean, I've got one to build at some stage. This will help you. And as I say, she is an immense aircraft, but a thing of beauty. Absolutely immense. I just can't get over the size of this aircraft. It really is huge. So yeah, there you go. Right, let's pop down here. You got a little sort of a ferret, which was used by the Army or the RAF regiment out in the Middle East during the 60s. That was used as a scout car, so it's an interesting colour scheme. And obviously you got the replica of the actual bomb load the Vulcan could carry, which, as you can see, was quite a bloody load. And there's the guy with the security guard and his guard dog. So there you are. Right, let's go and have a look around here. This is actually a mural that was taken off a former bomber command station of a Sterling. They were quite artistic, those guys, I must admit, even when they got the time. So yeah, must have been rather stressful knowing if you weren't going to be surviving that night or not. I suppose they didn't think about it. And if we go in here, you've got the replica of what a typical factory looked like after a 1,000 bomber raid in Germany, but they still kept the factories going. Could you believe it? You've got the broken pipe, look. Absolutely amazing. And there's the real photographs right here. Okay. If we come out the other way, and there's a group of guys. We got the B-25 Mitchell. That was the equivalent of the Mosquito in the US Air Force, and as you well know, it was well known for the Doolittle raid from the USS Yorktown. Was it Yorktown? Or I can't remember. Was it? I think it was Yorktown, I'm not sure. Which actually they took it off from an aircraft carrier and bombed Tokyo. Not a lot of them actually managed to get to China. They had to smuggle their way back, and unfortunately some were executed, but needless to say, they weren't expecting it. It was getting their way back for attacking Pearl Harbor. And right here is the Heinkel HE-162, which was used at the very end of the Second World War. Only a few Jagdstoffels actually had them, but what if it had been built in numbers, who knows what the outcome would have been. Apparently it's very highly manoeuvrable. So there you are. Right, let's have a look over here. And we we come to the B-17. Now, as you know, this was the most well-known Second World War US bomber used in the 8th Air Force. It was basically full and bristling of guns, hence the name Flying Fortress. And here's a typical sort of crew getting ready to basically get up and get ready for the raid. So quite an immense aircraft, I have to say, but it didn't have half as big a payload as the Lancaster. So they mainly sort of looked on the armaments of us. Now, if you can see here, this is a Focke-Wulf 190. This actually is a rare two-seat training version. I think it was caught on an airfield in Germany at the end of the war. Right, we're going to go through to the next hall. At the moment, they're actually, looks like they're refurbishing a Pioneer over the next by Sugar. So let's go over here. And if we go through to the other hall, we've got one of our first jets we ever had. There we are, the Glossometeor. Very sleek in its lines, even for today's standards. This was our first in-service jet. And just behind it, sorry guys, we've got the de Havilland Vampire. Again, it's a good work of art. This was again of wooden construction, just like the Mosquito. Very fast, very manoeuvrable. And was the backbone of our jet force. And as you can see here, we've got another Spitfire. This is the LF Mark 16. And over here, just following these gentlemen, here's the world's first jet bomber that we had, the English Electric Canberra. It was very successful in export, not only with us, and served right up until 2011 or 10, I think, as a reconnaissance aircraft. This is the bomber version. I think this particular one took part in the London and New Zealand air race of 1953. Then we come on to the Jet Provost, well-known frontline trainer for many years, up until the Tucano actually took over. Neat little aircraft. All the pilots that flew it loved it. And here, well, what can one say? This is the Lightning, or as it was well known, 30 tons of thunder. Even today, by today's standards, it's an impressive, fast-looking aircraft. And well, I was tempted to get one 48th model, but if I bought any more models, I think Milan would kill me. I've got enough anyway, so I'll probably get one at a later date. But to be honest with you, I would love to see one of these flying in this country. The only place you can still see them is out in South Africa, which is with the Rolling Thunder. But yeah, very still futuristic and sleek looking aircraft. Right, let's go over here. And this is the Hawker Hart, I think. Well known, well, this is in the colours of a training version. Over here we've got the Hawker Tempest Mark 5. Still impressive. And this is a recent acquisition, I think. This is the Kitty Hawk 3. Beautiful looking aircraft, very successful during the North African campaign. I think this one had an Allison engine or a Rolls-Royce Merlin, I'm not quite sure. Let me just find out from the information. Oh no, this had a 1470 horsepower Allison engine. But as I say, they were very successful during the North African campaign. I think this is in the markings of, let me just see, 112 Squadron, who were the most well-known outfit of this aircraft. And over here is my dad's old favourite, which was the Hawker Hunter. Very beautiful looking aircraft, very impressive when I've seen it at displays. And I'm just going to go up in the cockpit and have a look. Right, I just had a lady having a look at me. She thinks it's a bit strange. It's alright, I'll just explain I'm doing a YouTube video and have a look in here. Very compact little cockpit in here. But as I say, it is a beautiful, beautiful looking aircraft. I can understand why it was my dad's favourite. He saw it from prototype form at the Farnborough in the 50s. And the only aircraft that succeeded it was, as I say, the Lightning. And there you go. Right, let's go and have a look over here, because there's one aircraft I do want you to see. This is the P-47 Thunderbolt, or as it was well known, the Jug. It is immense, a very powerful engine. This is done in the markings of an squadron out in Burma. And yeah, it's quite a big aircraft actually, I'm surprised. It's basically all engine, but it served well. There's the old Harvard, which was used in our frontline squadrons through the Second World War, right up through to the 1950s, until the jets came in. And what else is there? Oh, here's another favourite of my father's. This is the Bristol Bulldog. This was the actual aircraft that Douglas Bader had his accident in when he actually tried to do a barrel row at a very low altitude. The wing clipped it, and unfortunately ended up crashing it at Woodley Aerodrome, and the engine fell back and crushed his legs. But it didn't defeat him. He went on to better things. He became a well-known squadron leader with the big wing during the Battle of Britain, and a well-known ace. And he helped a lot of people with similar disabilities who had been amputees, so hats off to him. And he was a very well-known friend of the Queen Mother's. And I think finally what we're going to have a look at is this, which is the McDonnell Douglas F4 or FG1 or FGR2 Phantom. I always loved this aircraft. It was a particular favourite of mine. And just look at the lines on it. It looks fierce. It's absolutely gorgeous. Well known during the Vietnam War and used off our aircraft carriers. Well, Ark Royal during the 70s, our last flat top. And used from strength to strength during the Cold War out in Germany. It was our frontline fighter and was only retired in 1993, I think, at Wattisham. And I'm going to come up here because there's something I want you to see, which is the cockpit. So let's have a look. There we go. Let's just have a look at the cockpits here. This is the navigator station. As you see, it's quite compact. Not a lot of room in there, but there you go. As I say, with all the G-forces this thing used to pull, you probably need a quite compact cockpit. And here is the pilot station. Yeah, very impressive, I have to say. So let's have a look at the other exhibits, and then you've got the Spitfire, many more. You've got another Spitfire, a Whirlwind, and I think we'll just have one more look at F Sugar before we go. Okay. Sorry if it's a bit jerky on the camera. And this is an old DH9 during the First World War, and it is the genuine article. So just shows you how far we've come from that to the Phantom to the Tornado. Anyway, this is where we're going to finish that, guys, because I think I am going to run out of film eventually. So there we go. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my little tour around Hendon. I'm sorry it's been a bit intermittent, but as I say, I always love coming to this museum because there's just so much to see. You learn so much, and as I say, I want to thank Paul Hudson for that's the head of marketing, for allowing me to film around here. So thank you, Paul. And as I say, I'll see you guys soon, so get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I'll speak to you soon.